You're listening to Sip and Grow, the podcast. Today's episode is near and dear to my heart because my friend of 10 years, Dakota, is officially the first guest on my podcast. Dakota, thank you for your years of friendship, laughter, and experiences together. You have been such an amazing support in my life, and I truly value our time together. I am so proud to call you my friend, and I'm excited for you to take the food industry by storm. You are the next Martha Stewart of our generation, and I'm honored to be a part of your journey. Love you so much, and anything you need, you know you can count on me. And, of course, I'll definitely always bring the wine. Welcome back to another episode of Sip and Grow. We have had technical difficulties. We recorded a full episode, but the mics weren't working. Now
Mics were off.
They were off. Now they're working.
We're back.
So this is why this wine is open, and we have drank some of the wine.
And we are happy.
Yes, but let me go ahead and introduce who this is. My first guest on the show.
I feel like I know you guys. You don't know me yet.
We literally did like an hour-long episode, but it's fine. We're here.
It was great.
We're in it to win it.
Take two.
And this is Dakota Wallace, my friend for 10 years.
That's insane.
I know. That
you
is
want
crazy.
to feel old? To have someone tell you that you've been friends with them for 10 years and you met them when you were 20.
That's crazy.
That's
wild.
Old. Ancient
memories.
My niece would be like, Auntie, that's old. Thanks, girlie.
Auntie, no.
Auntie, you need water. Fair.
No, you need wine. Today's whole episode is about drinking the wine.
Drink it.
So we basically met studying abroad.
Wait, are you going to intro the wine?
I am.
Oh, sorry.
But I want to intro us
It's
first.
her show, not mine.
But you're a guest today, so it is also your show.
Yeah, tell me how we met.
Would you like me to intro the wine first?
No, I would like you to tell them how I met you.
Okay. So we met studying abroad in Florence, Italy.
Yeah, we did.
Random room assignments, right?
And she walked into me fully asleep on the bed.
Oh, I did.
I did.
I
like got there and I was like passed out and drooling.
Yeah.
But I had gotten there first and I stole the best room for us.
Yeah, she
we were
literally
supposed to be in room 2 and I was like, that could be interpreted anyway, but I'm gonna choose this one to be room 2 and it was clearly room 1.
You legit woke up and were like, I got us the best room. Nice to meet you. I'm Dakota. It's like, okay. Hey, are you hungry? Want to go eat?
Like starving. Always hungry.
But fun facts, we both had the same major, and that was totally random.
Totally.
Because I guess your school kind of had the option to
we could room with
together.
people from my college because
Okay.
like we had a huge study abroad portion. Like I think something around a minimum of 40% of our juniors studied abroad, if not more. And so I think we had like 100 and something schools we paired with, but there was always at least 1 to 2 other students from our school at that school.
Yeah.
And for Florence, I think we had like 10 to 15. There was
crazy.
a handful of people I knew, because we even became friends somewhat with some of them.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Give or take. And so, but I was like, I want to go random. Like, I think that this is such a unique experience. It's going to push me and this person to new levels. And ideally we can like trauma bond versus hate each other, ideally.
Well, it's so funny because like I actually found the program on my own and had to get my school to approve the program.
Wow.
Because they only
that was
had
work I wouldn't do.
Yeah, I was in it to win it.
You were.
It was
A+.
also the only program within Italy that had like anything relating to hospitality events. So that's the whole reason why.
That's why I chose that school too.
But before I go into the wine, I just want to mention, as you mentioned in our previous episode,
I was like, what did I say?
That will never be shown again.
No one will know what
because
we
we can't hear.
Except for William the goat.
Oh yeah, there's a goat back there that she loves and named William.
Last time when she introed me, he bad, and then I lost my morals. I don't know what I lost. And then I named him William, and then he bad to me, and I bad back, and
it was a moment.
We created a kinship.
Yes. But she was afraid of me before she even
terrified
me because of my picture on Facebook.
Yeah, it was a mean mug.
Okay, I'm going to put it here somewhere, but like literally it was just
Knowing
me.
you now, it's hilarious. But like there was one other girl in my high school. I think this is like trauma, right? We all have big T trauma and little T trauma. This is little T trauma. But there's one girl in my high school who I think had a profile picture similar to you. And she had bullied me for like a year. So I was like, oh,
so
no.
it was like hitting your trauma
Yeah, I don't
point.
think I ever said that part to you.
It was just me and my brother at our cousin's wedding, like mean mugging like this together back to back.
Terrifying. It was definitely a mean mug that would kill.
We just had a serious face on.
It really was nothing.
And mind you, she was like messaging me like, hey, we're 1 week away. Nice to meet you through like Messenger on Facebook.
Yep.
So yeah, anyways, it worked out.
It was great.
We didn't have a bad experience like other people did.
No, we had a phenomenal experience compared to most.
Do you want to tell them about the Nico situation or save that for another time?
I mean, Nico's a podcast in and of himself.
Okay.
But let me like dip our toes in.
So before we dip our toes in, let me introduce the wine.
Wet our lips.
Yeah, because we want to wet our lips more than we have. So today we are drinking a Pinot Noir 2021 vintage from Longboard Vineyards. I did a tasting the first month I was here. I went to do a tasting at their...
You didn't say that last time.
I didn't, but now I am. I went to their winery and I did a tasting of all their different wines. This happened to be one of my favorites. And I know the story behind it because one of my coworkers that did an internship with me, he worked here like part-time and he was telling me to go taste wines there. But basically the area where these grapes to make this specific wine is basically they have like a beehive there, and also the owner, his first dog that passed away, he has him buried there, so this is kind of like a tribute to him. And also the beehive is there, so that's why it's called Meant to Be, BEE.
Which is adorable. That's
so adorable. Cute. So let's go ahead and do tasting notes again.
Let's do some tasting notes. We also have company.
Oh, we do. We just love this.
Should we pause?
No, we shouldn't.
Okay. You didn't mention the color, Nicole.
Yeah, I'm going to mention the color now. So it's like dark ruby red.
To be clear, Nicole took a wine class in Italy.
I did.
Which was all about like terroir and regions and the DOCGs and those things. And I took a pairing food and wine class.
Yeah, well, it was like an intro to tasting wine. So they did a combination of like learning about the regions and the different grape varietals while tasting wines, and hers was more food pairing based. Yes. Type of situation.
So like got some of the information, but like not nearly as much as she did.
Yeah.
And also did not keep up with it. Like I just, my professor the first day was like sip or chug, and like he asked all of that to everyone. Yeah. And I was like, chug.
You're like, is this even a question?
Whole bottle. It's college.
Well, yeah, because you didn't. When I came back to the States, I took another wine class.
Oh, I didn't. You probably told me.
Well.
Listening
is
hard.
Yeah, listening is hard. But when you came back, did you take any other? No. Okay.
I haven't done anything. Okay. I looked at my wine book one time and said, I'll open that later.
So I'm the only one right now currently in it to win it.
You are winning it. Okay. And I am supporting the winning.
She's supporting every...
I'm a big support.
You are. Thank you for tasting wine with me. Anyways, this wine is very dark ruby red, right?
Yeah, I see that.
When you smell it, it has very earthy notes.
Yep.
Kind of spicy almost.
We were saying that it was different spices than like the typical, like when you think of a spiced red.
Yes.
Or like spices in a red. It was a little bit more like
anise.
Yeah,
cloves. Yeah. So let's go ahead and try it.
Like denser spices.
Mm-hmm.
It's phenomenal.
It is phenomenal.
When you sip, it's just as good as
it has just enough hints of tannins in there, but it's not aggressive and intense because it does go down smoothly.
Super smooth.
And I feel like all the flavors just combine very well together.
And it's nice because it's persistent but not overpowering. So like it is elongated on the back of your palate.
Yeah.
But it's not, it would pair well with
I think it's versatile.
Quite a few different dishes.
Yeah. Like I think it's medium bodied for sure.
Yeah. It's one of those ones, at least for me and like my preferences on wine, is as soon as I smelled it, I was like, I'm gonna like this one. Like it's one of those that like you like, so can I sip it now? Or is later? Okay, cool.
Now. Anyways, I will see if there's a link to buy this and link it on the notes, but it is a little bit on the higher side of things. But Pinot Noir, like really good Pinot Noir, is expensive. So this is in the $60 range, but I'll go ahead and put all the details in the notes, in the show notes. But let's get back to Nico. Who is Nico?
Oh my goodness. I forgot that we were going down Nico Lane. Okay, so in my college, because everything comes with a backstory before you get the real story, but this will be a quick one, I promise. So before, I can be quick with him. He was quick. And so before we got to go abroad in my college, we had, they called it a study abroad. It wasn't even a fair. It was like an orientation. So we basically like got taken through these like 3 different layers of things through people who had went to our exact program or our country. And like we learned about getting visas, we learned about money, we learned, oh my goodness, the wine is getting to me. And we learned about all the things. And one of them was like cultural and making friends, right? This girl had not gone to Italy. She had gone to France. And I think that is the key point in this story. But anyways, this lovely lady who went to France to study abroad had met this boy that she like adored, and they had been long distance dating for like 2 months. And after she graduated, because she was a senior, she was moving back to France to be with him, and they were going to get married. And I was like, what a story. I love romance. I should meet someone to marry when I study abroad. Do it for the plot.
She does that every single day of her life till this day.
It is for the plot.
Everything's for the plot. And
for the greater good of humanity. It's part of the plot. Like, I'm not here to hurt people.
No.
To be clear, the plot never is malicious. It is unconditional love for all. And
Absolutely.
so we get to Italy and we go to this dive bar. It wasn't a super... It
was Lion something?
Yeah, the one that changed 3 times when we were there. 3 new... It was by the panini place. Yeah. It changed 3 times while we were there. I was like, Italian men know how to switch over buildings. America, there wouldn't have even been one place in there.
Now I'm thinking it was kind of like a movie moment. I feel like that entire situation.
Movies, everything. Yeah. So anyways, I'm there. I'm like, come to me, the love of my life, which is like my energy every day. He's lost in transit.
But didn't you meet him through Leo?
Yeah. That's what I'm going to.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Me, Nicole, and these 2 girls had gone to my school, ended up being on my flight, and lived right across the street from us. We're all there. And their roommates were there. Yeah. And so we were all dancing, having fun. Anyways, this guy, Leo, comes up to Nicole and starts talking to Nicole.
I dated an Italian Albanese for a couple of months while I was there.
As we all should. When in Italy.
Yes.
It's like the Lizzie McGuire movie. And so, anyways, that night happened, and I was like, that's so cute. Like, but like, being 20, I was like, boo, Nicole found her boy, and like, I'm gonna be single, I have no one to hang out with.
But mind you, like, I didn't even...
She had 0 interest.
Yeah.
She was like, Dakota, he was telling me the silliest stories. Like, not even silly. You would have said stupid, but I was trying to make you polite.
The thing is like, he only spoke Italian. I studied Italian for a year before going to Italy, and I speak fluently in Spanish. So I was using the little Italian that I knew and my Spanish to like communicate with this guy.
Which Spanish and Italian are very similar. The vowels are just different.
Yeah.
For the most part, but there are a lot. It's very helpful.
Helps you.
Which is a whole another story about when I was taking Italian in Italy. And the time I puked up veal in class, but that's a whole nother story. And so I'm very against veal. Everyone's allowed to eat what they want. It's not for me. And so I learned that the hard way. And so The next night, we go to this club called Space, which is the club in Florence. I'm curious to see if it's still
They're
the club
still
when
running.
we go back there. It is.
So I follow the Facebook group because when they took pictures of us, they I saw it on their page.
People took pictures of it on the interwebs.
It's on my Facebook. But yeah, they're
terrified.
still going because the other, like a couple of months ago.
Of course they are. They have the best business plan ever. Drunk study abroad people.
Also, their layout is pretty cool. It's like a
Amazing.
2-story club, and
It's
the
a
VIP
great
is on
club.
like the second section.
It's a great club.
Which, mind you, VIP, anyone can be VIP. Which Nico
Is VIP. Who knew? And so we're there. Turns out, Leo?
Leo. Yeah,
What was
Leo.
his name?
That's his name.
Leo was in the VIP section. He makes eye contact with Nicole.
It was a movie
Love
moment.
at first sight. Oh. And so she's having this like study abroad romance, and me and Amanda were like just dancing and getting sweaty in the peasants level.
I was there with you because Leo ends up coming down and saying,
Yeah, because
hey.
he wanted you to come up, and you were like,
no,
I'm
you
not
come
VIP.
to me.
Yeah, as all queens should. And so that, whoa, I normally am not a cougher. I'm very sick. That's also the raspy voice. We introed that on the last podcast. We forgot to on this one.
She's feeling
You're
a lot
back.
better today.
I'm doing great. Everything's fine. That's why I have a blankie. It's for support.
Yes.
So he's talking to Nicole. They're having their moment. The lights are back up. Like, it's time to leave the club. No one's there.
It was like 2 a.m.
It's 2 a.m.
Yeah.
We're young. We can stay up that late. I can't stay up past 9 anymore. I'm trying not to cough. And so I'm sitting there drenched in sweat because when you dance, you dance. And for some reason, someone that night had convinced me to curl my hair, but the only curler was like the world's smallest curler. So I have like poodle hair, frizzy, and sweat, and like makeup running down my face because we're 20. We're wearing cheap ass makeup. This is the 2000s. And, well, I guess it's all the 2000s.
Yeah, I was like,
but this is back when 20-year-olds wore cheap makeup, not fancy makeup like we do these days.
Yes.
And so this jaw-dropping, gorgeous.
Okay. You're hyping him up.
He's very good looking.
He was cute. I'm sorry. Continue. Yeah, he was cute.
I think
yes.
he could be an underwear model.
Okay, continue.
He was,
Mind you, he's like 100% Albanese, right?
yeah, he's 100% Albanian, but fronting as an Italian.
Yes.
The whole part of the story.
Important
disclaimer.
information.
And so he comes over to me and he's like, Bella, like, what is your name? And I was like, so what are you, girl? And I was like, there's no way he's interested in me. Like, I was like, that's his friend. He wants to go home. He's just like making small talk to like kill time.
He was very persistent with you.
Yeah, so that's what happened. But I was like, because at that point too, I had low self-esteem. I mean, I've struggled with that my whole life in actuality. But I was like, no way he is interested in me. And especially like Amanda, who was like this gorgeous, petite,
Brazilian
girl with like perfect body, like spunky personality, is sitting next to me. Like, I'm like, you're talking to me when you could talk to her? Like,
right.
You're just killing time. Like, you're talking to the ugly friend to like kill time until whatever happens, right?
Which is not the case, but
it's
whatever.
not the case, but it was the internal dialogue, which I think is key. So anyways, Nico had just decided that I'm the one true love of his life, and he courts me. Oh my God. He courts me.
Sorry. That's just hilarious.
I mean, he literally told me that for a year after I got back from Italy too.
Oh, he made sure I knew too.
Everyone knows. And so he courts me for 4 months, takes me to aperitivos, like takes me up to the everything.
Mind you, he's paying for everything.
Paying for everything.
Paying for everything.
And he's telling me how what did he say he did? Did he say he was a club promoter?
Yeah, so he said he was a club promoter.
Yeah.
That's how he was getting us into all these clubs, which, mind you, it's not hard to get in a club.
It's also not hard to get American girls into a club for free. But he was getting us into all these clubs, into the VIP sections.
Well, yeah, but to be honest, it's not
hard.
Yeah,
it's not hard.
It's not
but
hard.
We didn't really know.
Yeah.
I wasn't even 21 in the US, so I could drink in Italy, but I couldn't drink. So I hadn't gone clubbing before, so I was like, in the movies, this is luxury.
And that's like a big thing in Italy. Like these Italian men will seek out like Americans and like get them to like their VIP club table.
Yeah.
It's a very weird concept.
To be clear, I do think Nico saved my life, because when we went in Cinque Terre and I got the sand in my eye and then I almost died, he got me into that back alley emergency place. Let's
tell our viewers what that is.
This is not what the podcast is about.
I know, but this is juicy. So basically, she was almost dying, and they came, like, it was Leo.
Nicole will put the picture here of me dying on a doorstep.
I do have it.
You send it to me every 4 years.
I do. But basically, like, Leo and Nico helped us get her to the hospital.
Nico came over and he goes, "Oh no. Oh no, you're so sick." But he speaks like 3 words
in English.
Of English.
Yeah, so I would be the translator between them in Italian. And I would be like, oh my God, like, what is going on?
But we could text.
Yeah.
Because we could translate the text.
Yeah.
I think he was using translation and then sending it to me.
Yeah.
But we could translate the text. So we texted a lot. And I guess at that age, like, who needs communication to fall in love? I don't think I was ever madly in love with him.
No, Dakota.
No, but I'm saying, like, as my roommate, like,
oh yeah.
I don't think, like, I wasn't like
no.
I was like, this is a fun study abroad fling. I was like, this is good for the plot, but I was like, we're ending when I leave, and like, I'm not gonna marry you. Yeah, and I was like, and actually sometimes he really annoyed me.
Yeah, he did.
Most of the time.
He also, so tell them about the ring that he gave you.
Oh, so then one night, as he's continuously professing his undying love for me.
Always.
Which, like, I'm really grateful for. Like, it's nice to be loved.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
If the right person was professing their love for me,
you would love it.
I would gladly accept and reciprocate. Like, I'm not a heartless person.
But you were very...
They don't know me. They don't know me. I'm not bad.
You were very clear with him, to be honest.
Yeah, I was like, I'm just here. Like, I'm just here for, like, like, I leave. Like, I was continuously saying, because, like, some people had year-long study abroad things. And I was like, I leave in December, right? And he was like, yeah. And, like, I even learned December in Italian, and I'm dyslexic. That took a lot to, like, remind him that in Italian that I was leaving in December. And so, it's so funny. And so, a big epiphany that came to me is that I'm dyslexic in all languages, not just English. Because when I went there, I was like, oh, I'm just dyslexic in English. Nope, it's all languages, Dakota. Factoid. And so he's professing his undying love for me one night. And he gives me this ring. And it's a man's ring. And he's like, for you, so that you always know how much I love you. Mm-hmm. Your flight's still in.
I know.
And I was like, okay, like, probably not going to wear this every day, but, like, thank you. And I'm so committed to the journey of this fly.
That's why I left
this episode is going so south compared to the last one. Last one was like life helping truth bomb. This one's like the life and love of Dakota Wallace.
Sorry, this Nico story is really funny, and then after we keep going,
it's totally fine. We can record more. I'm here for the long time, not the short time.
I want to get this fly out.
Did you get it?
I did.
Oh, victory. Okay, so
ahead.
Nico gives me this ring, confessing his undying love for me, and that I can always remember. Like, I might have misinterpreted everything in the relationship because none of it was in my foreign tongue. But my understanding was like he was giving me this ring forever.
Yeah, it was kind of like a symbol,
ring,
like
a promise of my love.
Exactly.
And I like gave it, like he put it on my finger. I was like, oh, that's cute for date night. And then like I put it back on his finger.
He
like,
left it on your nightstand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. After I like rejected it for the 14th time, he left it on my nightstand. So anyways, I'm in Morocco, as one does. I'm in Morocco and I get a text message. I'm there. I went on a 4-day trip to Morocco with one of my friends who was studying abroad in Switzerland. And I get a text message from a number I don't know.
It's a 305 number, by the way, guys. It was. I remember.
Oh, I was like, I have no memory.
Because, okay, continue.
Yeah.
Before you reveal who it is.
She was like, how do you know Nico? That's not her voice. I never knew her voice.
She also messaged me.
Oh, okay.
That's why.
She was like, how do you know Nico?
Yeah.
And I was like, how do you know Nico? Because like, I'm like, do it for the plot. And she's like, Nico is my fiance. And I was like, it's for the plot. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that Nico had a fiance. And like, to be clear, the man is taking photos of us everywhere we go. Like, I'm not the type of girl who's like, hey babe, let's get a photo together. And he's taking selfies. He's posting them on his Facebook. Like, he is Facebook official with me at this point. Like, yeah. I was like, I'm going to destroy this man's heart when I leave. I didn't know I was so powerful. But I'm a runner. I'm a Jackster. Here for a good time, not a long time. Which has been my motto my whole life. Oh
my God.
It's so true. I keep running away from everything. That someone gave that to me.
We're digressing.
And so this is so rogue.
So wait. She also messages me asking me how I know Nico, and then I see it's a 305 number, so I'm like, this girl's from Miami because I'm from Miami. I'm like, I know Nico because he is the guy who I was dating, his friend. So that's the only way I know him. And then this girl, like, all of a sudden tells me, oh, well, I'm his fiance. I know you're friends with Dakota. But I just want to let you know that Nico has been doing this with 5 other American girls.
But she didn't make it sound like, because it wasn't like at the same time. It was, he has done it with 5 other American girls.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Because she was like, because that her and I got very clear on it that like this is a pattern that he's basically been cheating on her, because she was 15 years older than him, I think.
She travels for work too, I think.
Yeah, travels to the U.S. for work and basically was his sugar mama.
Yeah, he lives off of her.
Yeah,
so
he has no job.
He was using her money to take all these girls out
on dates. Yeah,
I was shooketh. I was taken aback.
I was like, wow, he's not lecturing. And so I like profusely apologized to her. I was like, I'm so sorry. Like,
she was so good about it.
She was, I mean, after the 5th time, you're the one staying with the person.
Yeah.
And I was like,
we gotta talk about that.
I was like, I'm very, very sorry. Like, that is a hard no for me. Like, if a man is taken, he is a no. Like, I've never, my best friend in high school cheated on my boyfriend behind my back. Like, I don't ever cross that line. Like, I will think people who are in relationships are attractive, but I will never pursue. Mm-hmm. It is a non-negotiable for me. Mm-hmm. Like, that is a hill I will die on. Yeah. And so that all happens. And so I'm like, I think it wasn't quite this good because I wasn't this witty back then, but I texted Nico something along the lines like, congratulations on your engagement. Like, I'm no longer interested in spending time with you. Like, yeah,
you just like told him like, okay, like this is done, like, you know, no hard feelings.
Yeah,
we're good
I was
to
like,
go.
wish you had told me so I didn't do this. But the past is the past, the future is the future. Adios amigos. And then his fiance starts texting me how like she's worried about her life, that he's gonna kill her, and that I need to be worried about my life. And I'm like, Nico couldn't kill me if he tried.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
the boy is not, no. But I was like, I'm sorry, but like, that's kind of like your bed. Like, I have enough of a plot. I'm not going to bring you in. She like wanted to meet up for coffee. And I was like,
that's excessive. Yeah.
I was like, I'm busy indefinitely.
Like, never contact me again.
Like, also going back to America in like 2 weeks, or it was like a month. And anyways, turns out that the ring he gave me was his engagement ring, because she gave him an engagement ring. And so he gave me her engagement ring. And I was like, oh, I don't want it. So like, Nicole returned it back to
I was
Nico,
the middleman because he
I was
wanted to like meet with Dakota. Dakota was like, no. So I ended up giving him the ring. Mail. And then when I saw him in person, he was like telling me like how much he loved you. And I was like, Nico, I think it's just time for you to go home. Like, I just think
back to,
like,
and
we
also
wish you the
whole
best.
Time he had told me he was Italian.
Yeah.
Until we found this all out, because she was like, he's not even Italian, he's Albanian. And I was like, well, now I can know the truth, and I'm attracted to Albanian men and not Italian men. Like, that's helpful in my future endeavors.
Yeah.
It's important.
It's important.
And so that's Nico. I feel like I missed one thing. Oh, no, there is one thing.
What?
It was like 2 weeks before we left, or a week before we left.
Mm-hmm.
We go to a club. It wasn't Space, wasn't that other club.
Okay.
And we're just having fun.
Oh, I know what you're
And we look
say.
up in the VIP section, and Nico's dancing with an American girl. And I was like, oh, ooh.
Here he goes again.
I was like, my mom said a tiger never changes his stripes, and that tiger's stripes look permanent. Factoid.
Oh, Nico. Cheers to Nico.
Thank you for teaching me what I don't want.
So what we really were talking about...
Oh my God, that was such a tangent.
What we really were talking about on the other episode is how you're in a transitional phase in your life, right?
Yes.
So give our audience a little background
For the people in the back.
on your events experience and how you transitioned from the events world and now you're transitioning into the food and beverage world, right?
Yeah. So one of the things that I said, and we'll say again, is that I think something that I'm a little bummed about, and something that I'm trying to make a change about, and I am seeing other people make this change too, is that in that pivot, in that change portion, when you're actually in the unknown, when you're in the messy mix of it all, is that nobody talks from there. People talk once they've gotten 200 no's, and they finally got the yes, and they're up on stage, and they've made a couple $1 million. They're
at the top.
And they're telling their story, and you're not even like, you feel the gut wrench that they got all these no's, but you're like, it's okay because I know you made it, you know, and you're someone I inspire to be. I see your products in all these places. And so I'm kind of really in this type of like, let's get messy together.
Let's do it.
And like, let's post about the whole journey. Let's post about the bad days and the good days. And like, maybe this will crash and burn in my face, or maybe this will help people, because that's why I'm here on earth. I'm not here on earth to make it about me. I'm not here on earth to have, you know, the most money anyone in the world can have. I'm here on earth to help and inspire and bring love and light to other people in the world. And so I like getting messy. I am like the most open book in the whole world. Like, I'm like, you want to know about Nico? Let me tell you about Nico. Like, do you want to know about his bedside manner, or do you just want to know about like the engagement ring? Like, I'm here for the journey. And so like that's important to me, because we were talking about this too, is like, I just recently, because I had some health stuff come up, that I started talking to people about like things that are actually going on in my body, because I felt like I was the only one in the world. Yeah. And sometimes when I tell people, they're like, you might be the only one in the world.
Fun fact.
Which is fine. I'm here for that. And other times people are like, me too. I thought I was the only one in the world. And I was like, the more we can cut down on isolation and we can start making everything community-based, is when we're going to bring more love back to the world. Is when we're going to feel less isolated. Is when we're all going to feel part of something bigger, instead of like we're soldiers out on this mission alone in the dark of night.
Yeah.
So the long story as short as I can possibly make it.
You're doing great, Dakota.
Is that I went to school for hospitality and event planning. And I actually didn't mean to do that, in all honesty. That's new. Is that I was going to go to college to be a chef. I was dead set. I was going to be a chef.
I love this.
And and when people asked me, I was like, well, food makes people happy, and I want to make people happy. I think we need more love in the world. Very sweet thing to say at 17.
But it's true. Like,
it's my ethos.
Yeah.
And it's always has been and always will be. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
And so my guidance counselor, because I had joined student council to be popular, that's a whole nother episode.
We're not going down that tangent.
Not today, not tomorrow, and definitely not the next day. And so my guidance counselor was like, because I took over all the events and I had improved them. Everyone was doing a good job beforehand, but I had added my special touch to things. And misspelled a lot of words along the way, but that's okay. I'm dyslexic. So it's a whole story. So she was like, that event planning is a job. And I was like, The Wedding Planner with J-Lo was my favorite movie. You mean this is a reality? I don't just have to watch this movie 10 times a day. I can be J-Lo.
That's so funny you say that, because that's the same reason why I got into events.
I think that movie was pivotal.
Yeah.
So many people.
But anyways, continue, please.
For the wine.
Yes.
And so she said that to me, and I was like, I didn't know. And she was like, I've really been watching you over the last 2 years, and I think you would be phenomenal over it. And long story short, I ended up switching my guidance counselor because we had two, because I was such a small high school, and one was A to M or N, and one was M through Z.
Right.
And I switched to the A through N one, even though I'm a W, because she was also my tap teacher. And
nice.
I just loved her. And so I knew she knew me. And she was like, no, Dakota, I think you'd be really, really good at this. And so I was like, okay. I'll plan parties. I planned a really good 9th birthday party once for myself. It was red carpet VIP themed.
Oh man.
And I got someone to be the baggage handler for us. And we had a wet red carpet
off, Dakota.
Yep.
Go
Always.
off.
Every detail, never missed. And so I went to school for it. And I landed, this is new too. I landed the dream job, the coveted job.
That quote unquote dream job that we
yes.
all think about getting, and then when we get it,
it's
kind of like...
And like, I'm sure people who are also LaSalle alumni of the class of 2016, was that? Yeah, 2016. I was like, when did I graduate? Would be like, that was not the coveted job, Dakota. But I felt like it was the coveted job, and it's a pretty coveted job, an internship. And so I landed a job from my internship, didn't even apply. They asked to interview me from my internship. And I remember on the phone with my dad, I was like, Dad, I don't want this job. I was like, I can't imagine sitting at that desk for the rest of my life. And I was like emotional. I was like, I can't do this for the rest of my life. And he was like, okay, what can you do? And I was like, I don't know, but I need to pack a backpack, and I need to go on a nomadic year, and I need to travel the world. And he was like, cute? No. He's like, who's going to pay the bills? And I was like, what are bills, Dad? What are they? I don't know. I just need to live. Like, my mom died a year and a half ago. Like, I'm 21. I don't know what the meaning of life is.
Yeah.
But I need it to have meaning, because right now, sitting in that cubicle under fluorescent lights, planning other people's dreams feels soul-sucking to me.
Yeah. It wasn't cutting it.
No. And I knew that from day one. And my dad was like, do it for the plot. And I was like, for the plot? No, he didn't say that. Dad doesn't know about the plot.
You said that.
I was like, okay. He was like, no, you got to do that. Like, this is what being a big girl is. And I was like, okay, I'm a big girl. So I did the job. And I did the job for 3 years. And I was a wedding planner at some of the most sought after venues in Boston with one of the top catering and event planning companies. And I learned so much, and it was so amazing. And I fell so out of love with life. And I fell so out of love with myself. And dating became a job because I thought I needed to have a partner, and I thought I needed to have a promotion, and I thought I needed to have these clothes, and I was living to check boxes, and I wasn't living.
Oof.
And I got to this point where I was like, I'm so miserable. I don't know what happiness is. And there's the movie Inside Out, and when Joy leaves, because she's going to get the core memories back. When Joy leaves, I was like, Joy left. And I didn't know that then. The movie wasn't out. It didn't help me at that point.
Right.
But I can look back to that moment in my life, and I was like, Joy left. She was not running, and she did not come back for like 4 years.
Wow.
But I was dead certain, because I could remember what it felt like, that I could find it. And I was also dead certain that I was going to find it through real life moments, not substances, people, or distractions.
Yeah.
And I'm so blessed for whatever voice was in me saying that was the line of how we were going to do it. So I quit my job. Well, no. I went on YouTube because vloggers were like taking the world by storm.
Taking off at that time.
Yeah, taking off. Yeah. And like, it's still great now. And so
it's different now, though.
It's totally different, and it's a whole nother animal. And so I found people who were doing day in a life videos.
Yeah.
And I
like
will,
vlogs.
And I will always go back to those people because they changed my life.
I remember getting lost in like vlogs and people's lives and being like, wow, like that's so cool that they're really sharing the details. Yeah.
And so I went in as the little sociologist that I am. And
we love that.
I love that. I love studying how people work in groups of people and why this and that and this. And so I started noting what were these people, these 5 people I were watching, what were they doing that was making their life so much happier than my life? Why were they excited to get out of bed? What was different? Did they live somewhere different than I lived? Did they have different friends than I had? Were they eating differently than I did? Did they have practices, rituals, behaviors that I didn't have? You were searching for
answers.
I was searching for anything that I had the power to implement in my life. And some of those takeaways was a belief in something higher, because when Mom died, God died. And I was never a religious person, but I was like, nothing higher would take away my one true bestie in life, like my Lord and Savior mother. And so I was like, I had lost a lot of hope and faith. And so I was like, okay, a belief in something higher, check, we need to find that. Another one was they lived in highly sunny climates. And at that point I was working underground, so I didn't see the light of day a lot, because especially in the winter. So I was like, I need to move somewhere where it's sunny all the time. And the third was they had people in their life who dreamed bigger than they were dreaming.
Ooh.
That helped elevate their dreams. And I was like, I'm the biggest dreamer in my circle.
I gotta get out of that circle.
I was like, who's pushing my limits? Because I'm the pusher.
Right.
And I'm not dreaming my fullest. I know what I'm capable of, and this is me playing small.
Yeah.
And so I packed my Honda Accord and I drove all the way across the country and moved to LA.
Wow.
And it was a 6-month process to make that decision. And I went to my first self-development event by myself, which helped me lock that in. And luckily, one of my good friends, who was a positive person, she wasn't a dreamer, but she was a positive person, was also moving to LA and agreeing to be my roommate. And so there's a lot of just things, like once I started talking about it, everything fell into place. And then I landed this job, which was my dream job then.
Which is fine. Everything changes.
And it was if I hadn't gotten that job, I would not be me today. And I stand by that job, all the jobs.
Because everything happens for a reason.
Everything makes sense in reverse. That's one of my favorite quotes.
That is a great quote.
Everything makes sense in reverse. It doesn't make sense when we're going through it or when we're looking forward to it. But everything that I've done in my life has made me who I am today, and I wouldn't change a second of it, even the worst days where I couldn't get out of bed. And
snaps for Dakota.
Take a sip of the wine.
Take a sip. Do you want more wine?
And so that was luxury.
Luxury.
That's my quote of the week. And so I start working for this entrepreneurial couple, and he's hiring an executive assistant. I was like, I can do that. I can executively assist you.
You get executive assistant sure.
I can assist executively for anyone. It was personal and executive, and I was like, I can wear 2 hats. I have a big head.
You literally sold yourself.
Yeah, I literally sold myself. Also talked about murder in my interview. Probably wouldn't recommend that, but do it for the plot.
It got you the job.
Yeah. And at my 90-day review, he was like, how's it going? And I was like, I'm a really bad executive assistant. I didn't quite say that, but I think we were
along the line.
Both of us would agree that was the underlying tonality of it. That I was like, but what you guys really need and what I could really do better for you guys, because I was like, by no means will I lose this job. I will continue to suck at being an executive assistant if you need that.
Make that pitch, girl.
Because they were huge dreamers.
Yeah.
They were living in a multi-billion-dollar home in Santa Monica. They were changing my mindset about money. They were changing my mindset about who I could be friends with. The people one of my first days on the job, I was handling a guest speaker who was an NFL football player. There were people I had looked up to who now I have their phone number in my phone. And I was like, my world is changing.
They elevated your world.
They elevated so much in what felt like hundreds of thousands miles away from me, right? For me to be in the room with these people, for people to know my name, and not that they needed to remember it, but for people to shake my hand. I thought that I was eons away from that possibility, and it was now happening daily for me.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I will do anything. But what's better for you and better for me is for me to be your full-time event planner, because you guys are doing over 10 events a year. I am bomb at planning events. I know that because I did it. And you need it. And he was like, absolutely. And so we made that transition. Fast forward to 2020, pandemic's hitting.
Boom.
Nobody needs an event planner.
Everyone's at home.
Don't do events was like rule number 1 of the pandemic after wear a mask.
Yeah.
And so my boss was really, really generous. There was a team of 3 or 4 of us. And he's like, I'm going to keep you all on for a minimum of 9 additional months.
Nice.
He's like, we'll reassess after that. And especially as an event planner, I'm like, thank you, Jesus. And so now I no longer had a 4-hour commute, and I was at home. And I was like, what do I do? I was still assisting with the team. I was still helping with every project I could. But there wasn't as much that I needed to be doing, and especially these 4 additional hours in my day. And so I got a Instagram ad, as we all do. And it was like, do you want to become a certified herbologist? And I was like,
sign me up. I
just got some pandemic money. Absolutely, I would like to be. It's 50% off. That's 50% yes.
Add to cart.
Add to cart. And I say it all jokingly, but my mom was really into herbology, and it felt like a sign from her. I really say my mom sends me so many signs in my life, and I'm so grateful. And they've always guided me to the exact next step that I need. And I don't take that lightly. To have an angel on your team is a blessing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I became an herbologist and didn't take it lightly. So I immediately bought 92 herbs and put them in my tiny little apartment with my roommate and started making us lotions and potions. It's bath bombs and potions, but same difference. And
Potato.
Energy healing. And so I started creating concoctions to realign our chakras. To be clear, at that point in my life, I didn't even know how to spell the word chakra.
Which is fine.
But I want to emphasize that, because I didn't last time. I want to emphasize that because we're waiting for someone to give us a golden ticket in life. You are officially ready to be the queen of chakras. You can spell the word. I'm dyslexic. I can't spell shit. But it took me a year. But we're waiting for the golden ticket. And I did wait for this golden ticket more than I should have. But I kind of knew the chakras.
Yeah.
The first ever TikTok I posted, and we'll get back to the story in a second. The third comment I got on the post said, sounds like you're reading from a textbook. I was like, factoid, I was. Because I didn't know about the chakra, right? Because at that point in my life, I was super attuned to energy healing.
Yeah.
I was super attuned to meditation. I was super attuned to manifestation. I was super attuned to those things. And I did a lot of channeling for people. I did a lot of card readings, and I was really good at them. From external feedback, not egotistical internal feedback. And so I would go into meditation and I would say, what do you want me to put in this tea for the greatest and highest good of those who have disalignment in their root chakra? And this recipe list would come out, and then I'd slightly tweak it to like make the right amounts of things, never the ingredients. And the tea would taste phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I'm used to a dad who has a gourmet food company that like it took 42 iterations to make certain sauces. And I was like, this is not how it goes.
Yeah.
Like I should need to edit these more.
Well, so those combinations you were able to make because you grew up around that because of the company your father had for 40 years, right?
Definitely, yes.
Yeah.
And also too, I'm never someone, it feels so funny because I call God my homie now. Like we're like besties.
I mean, he's my homie G.
Like right hand man. Can we hear it for Jesus?
Yeah.
But like I think I grew up with such an aversion to organized religion, and I'm like, God and Jesus aren't in a building for me. He's over my shoulder. He's protecting me. He's guiding me. And he probably doesn't look the way he looks to everyone else, not physically, but emotionally, right?
Yeah.
And so he's a support role to me. And so I do things with my team. And when I say my team, it's past ancestors, it's gods, goddesses, higher beings, fictional beings, whoever, angels, whoever I have called on to help serve me in being of the highest service of everyone else.
Yeah.
And so I'm never acting alone. I'm never walking alone in my life.
Yeah.
If it was just me, it'd be a big shit show. I'm one.
I mean, I feel like that's the case for everybody, but
Everyone.
like not everyone gets to that realization.
Or don't unlock it. They think that they have to do it alone.
Correct.
And like, that's lonely.
I can't imagine.
I tried it. It was a lot. I said no thank you.
0 out of 10 recommend.
Don't do it. Call
Don't do
your
it.
team. You don't have to do it all alone. Help is helpful.
Yeah.
And so these recipes started changing our life, and my roommate was like, you should post them on social media.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so I started posting them on TikTok, and people wanted to buy them. And then people started having results on them.
You were like, oh snap, I got a company.
I was like, oopsie daisies.
Did I just do this?
And it was funny because 6 months before that, she had said, you should start a food company. And I was like, no, never will, never gonna. I was like,
Joke's on her.
It's always on me. My hard no's become my hard yeses in all aspects of my life. And so she who said that to me, I was like, no. I know the FDA. I don't want to mess with the FDA. It is so hard, the food and beverage industry. Yeah. And so I started it. Luckily, teas are really, really easy with the FDA. So I was like, check. And so I started getting to this point with my job because I still had my job. And COVID was lifting enough and we were starting to plan events enough. And I was like, I'm growing. Mm-hmm. And the flower pot that I'm in isn't growing. And I'm going to break this pot. And I don't want to ruin this friendship, this relationship, this connection, this network that I have. And so I need to let people know what's going on in my life because I have 2 lives now, and that doesn't feel in alignment to me because I'm wide open. Mm-hmm. Open book. And so I had a conversation with my boss, and he was like, absolutely. He was like, yeah. He's like, that company sounds like it's going to change the world. And I was like, ching, ching, ching.
Cheers to that.
Except for that. Still working on it. And it was funny because the company had made like $1,000 at that point. So I was like, quit my 6-figure job for $1,000. And he was like, but can I keep you on as a subcontractor to finish out the events for the rest of the year? Just so that the clients have a synergetic experience through all the events. And I was like, absolutely, because I don't know how I'm going to pay my bills. And so
he was like a secure.
Yeah. And I was like, I think it was like 3 events. I was like, I can do 3 events.
Yeah.
And I sleep for him. And so then and I was like, never going to do events again after these 3 events.
Jokes on her again.
Second time quitting events. My throat chakra closes down when I talk about quitting events. And so he was like, awesome. And then immediately his network found out that I was for hire, and this event company grew out of left field. And all of a sudden I was running events for all these people. I didn't have social media. I didn't have a website. Like, you literally had to have my cell phone number to be able to get me. And I was selling out months within the first 3 months of the year. Like, my year was sold out. And
But I think by like having a company by word of mouth that's so successful is crazy, like amazing, you know?
it's something that is such a blessing.
Yeah.
And
It speaks volumes is what it does.
yes, and I have so much gratitude for it, and the experience and the lessons I've learned and the dissatisfied clients that I've had as well, because it has
Those
not
were
been
lessons.
unicorns and rainbows. There have been some people who we were not the correct matches for each other, and also I grew way too fast, and the problem is because I didn't want the company, but I couldn't admit that I didn't want the company, is that it was always treated like a hobby. And so I wasn't ever growing the company. I wasn't ever even following up on inquiries. Clients would follow up with me a few times. That is not a business structure. That is a hobby structure.
Right.
And I like to emphasize that, because if you see yourself self-sabotaging, pause it.
Yeah.
Is it actually what you want to be doing next in your life?
That's where you can analyze and be like, okay, am I going to continue doing this, or am I going to alternate or change
And is
it?
this fair to other people
Yeah.
who think they're hiring a company, not someone's hobby?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Totally fair statement. And especially when you're charging company prices, not hobby prices.
For sure.
Because I also was trying to make a living. And so I got to the end of the season, close to the end of the season, and I was burnt out. More gray hairs than I've ever had, more wrinkles than I've ever had. I was like, 30 is going to look rough. And I was like, I can't do this anymore in my life. And there was a lot that brought that up. One being that the whole reason I started being self-employed, besides wanting to help people to eat, is because my brother and sister-in-law were pregnant. And my niece was going to be born. And there's no grandmas in the picture. And I was like, Auntie Dakota will be there. And I was like,
She is there.
She is there. And I was like, she will love and support this child through and through. And this family, because it takes a village to raise a child. It doesn't take one person. And when we don't always have the grandparents there, which she has an amazing father and an amazing stepmom. But I was like, it takes a village. And I noticed throughout this year, I was being less of a village. And it's not my responsibility to be a village, but it's my desire to be a village. And so when the purpose of why I chose this life is no longer allowing me to be that person, question mark, why are we doing it?
Yeah.
And so, and then I had health things show up, and I was showing all the signs of having PCOS. I was having weight gain. I was having irregular periods, which leads all these signs to infertility.
Yeah.
And my dream job is to be a mom. And then, because of the PCOS and the style of my PCOS that they were showing signs for were leading to ovarian cancer, I was like,
A bunch of big things.
I was like, I'm going to return to sender. This is not my file. Thank you, no thank you. And I was like, okay, so you're telling me that my lifestyle, my beliefs, my patterns, what I'm doing, my energetic frequency is calling in this into my life?
Yeah.
No.
Absolutely not.
I'm going to say no thank you very quickly to this. And so, because, cancer is what killed my mom. Like, I'm not interested in that.
And I feel like when that happens, I've had certain family members have cancer and die from cancer. And it's like, when that happens, that's when everyone puts a pause and is like, holy shit, like, reevaluating your life, reevaluating what you're doing. Am I really living a fulfilling life? Am I living a joyful life? Am I doing what really brings me joy?
Yeah.
Or am I just going through the motions?
Exactly, because like my mom died when she was 55. So
Super
that
young.
means that I would have 25 years more of my life. That means I'm more than halfway through my life right now.
Right.
And so if we take that, and I'm not accepting that, but if we take that I'm more than 25 years through, or more than halfway through my life right now, I'm not going to live it with the same mentality that I've lived the last. And not that I've lived it wrong, but I've taken some days for granted. I've taken some years for granted. And I'm going to pivot that. I'm also going to do everything in my power to not have cancer, to not have PCOS, to be fertile, to do all these things, right? And so one of the biggest things, she was like, A, you need to balance your hormones, and B, you need to reduce stress and anxiety out of your life. And I was like, well, that's a daily feeling. So I don't know what you're asking for me. So that really turned into, before that, so my dad has a gourmet food company and it sells sauces and oils and balsamics, and he's had it for 40 years, and it's a wonderful company. But raising us as the children has always come first. And he's 70 years old. He had a heart attack this year. He's had knee replacements. He needs hip and back work done. And he can't retire because he took out loans to put us all through college, because me and my siblings are first generation college students. My parents never went. And it's amazing because my brother's now becoming a doctorate, you know, and like in wildlife biology. And like, that's incredible for a first generation college family.
For sure.
But my dad can't retire because he made sacrifices for us to have a better life. And so immediately the Enneagram 2 fixer in me was like, I'm going to go fix that, right? Like, I'm going to go into bittersweet, and I'm going to fix bittersweet, because when I look at the things that need to be done in it, I can fix those things. And so I am someone who always talks about what I'm doing to people. And I zoom out first, and I expect all the circles and sides and opportunities and losts and statistics and everything of the situation. And then I go, kind of like, penny for a thought. What do you think if I'm a gourmet food specialist to my friends, right?
Right.
And I even, because I'm such a curious little elf, I'll even say the story differently to different people. Not because it's different. I'm just coming at it from different lenses.
You're testing different.
Because every person I talk to will show me a blind spot, will show me a perspective I wasn't thinking of. And I'm like, curious. So curious.
Yeah.
Oh, am I doing that from a savior experience? Am I doing that because I'm afraid? Am I doing that from lack? Am I doing that from love? And it helps me check myself.
You're getting all the angles.
All the angles.
Yeah.
And so someone I really looked up to looked at me and she said, Dakota, your father's a fully grown man. He doesn't need you to save him. He can save himself.
Yep.
And I was like, fuck.
Damn.
But I want to save someone because I don't want to have to save myself. And right now that's the thing I have to save. And she was like, you can take over that company if you want to, but take it over for you.
Yeah.
Not for him. And I was like, ugh.
Why are you doing this to me right now?
I don't need this. Let me be a savior. And so I sat with it. And I was like, no. One of the main things that's going to heal my hormones is food. And how many women are suffering in silence with PCOS these days? So many. Statistically outraged. The fun fact, there's actually no test to find out if you have PCOS. They have to do elimination tests.
It's crazy.
That seems silly.
Yeah.
That seems like a no
Excuse
for me.
me, sir?
I'm not a doctor, but that feels like a no, thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a logical reason, but like, let's do better.
Yeah.
Because this is the fertility of our future. These are longing mothers who are not being able to provide our next generation and raise them with unconditional love. And so I was like, let's heal people. Through this, let's be a female who takes the food industry by storm.
Next Martha Stewart right here.
And let's create products that aren't about creating money. They will, because that is a byproduct of doing something great in the world. And I'm not afraid of that. But let's create products that are good and wholesome and bring people back to the dining room table.
Well, I feel like when you focus on perfecting something that you truly enjoy, the money will come. But if
Yeah.
you focus on the money, I think you're setting yourself up for failure.
And that's the thing, is that someone was like, okay, why do you want to take over this company?
Yeah.
And I was like, I think my business structure is a little skewed, because I was like, I've sat in a lot of room with a lot of millionaires, and I've heard a lot of processes of how to become a millionaire.
Yeah.
And I was like, but mine is, I want to become a company that employers are dying to work at, and not egotistically, but because I take such good care. I want women to have period leaves where they get time off during their period. I want to have a vacation home that everyone has time to go take a vacation at, expenses covered and paid vacation.
Yeah.
I want them to have the benefits that they need. I want them to have everything taken care of. I want to have not only a livable wage, but a flourishing wage. And these can't happen tomorrow, but these are the goals and ethics of the company. I want them to be real people having a real life experience.
Yeah.
I want there to be so many perks of this job that not only do they want to stay because it's fulfilling, but it's just silly because no one else is offering what we're offering.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful because some of our employees have been there for 17 to 20 years, you know, and so we have this beautiful longevity happening, but how can I make that better?
You're going to transform it.
Exactly. Take it to the next level. And I was like, and the second thing I want to do is I want to blow people's mind with food. Mind blowing. I want anyone to feel like they are a Michelin star chef at home. And I want us to be not afraid of the kitchen. I have so many peers who don't even know how to cut a carrot. And that's not a shameful statement. That's just our generation has had a disservice.
Yeah.
We've stepped into fast food and we've stepped out of the kitchen. And I want us to come back to whole foods. I want us to come back to a wholesome diet. And I want us to take care of ourselves again.
Yeah.
Food is the key to nourishment. And I was like, and I want to turn the food industry on its head. You know, I love men. They are great. They're phenomenal. They're doing a great job at things. But I want a woman to just like mess it all up a little bit for them. To be like, who? This girl from Charlotte, Massachusetts is like doing this thing. And like, I'm here. Like, I'm here to ruffle some feathers in a fun and playful way with some recipes that no one's going to expect are coming from someone who's not culinary trained. You know, I'm a home chef that just grew up under the kitchen table.
Which you make phenomenal food.
Thank you. I thought my risotto was subpar last night.
Listen, she made a risotto yesterday that I thought was delicious, and we made with fresh mushrooms, and she was like, no, Nicole, this is not good. I'm like, yes, it is. I'm a foodie myself, and I love to cook myself. So I hold my food to very high standards.
You do have a very high standard.
I do. But anyways, you guys heard it first. This is the next Martha Stewart of our millennial generation.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what you're going to bring to the table. I'm excited to be a part of the journey as your friend.
It's a journey.
And I will provide all the wine for this food journey.
Because no meal should go without wine.
Absolutely not. But anyways, thank you so much. It's getting dark.
It is actually getting dark.
It's very dark, but I'm so glad that you guys stuck here with us. But I just want to thank you for coming on this podcast and
always
on this journey with me and just supporting me in all my high and low moments.
Oh, there's so much good coming.
So much good, and I love you so much, and cheers.
Cheers.
Hope you guys enjoyed, and let me know what you think. Cheers to the next one.
Drink up at home.
Drink up at home.